And we are live. We are live for the State of the Union Address 2022. Joe Biden should be coming to the podium very soon. And it's going to be pretty interesting. I will, of course, have it up live. I'm going to show you guys how I have it here, just so you know kind of what's going on. And thank y'all again for joining. Definitely appreciate you guys. This is a special episode of ABL Live on a Tuesday rather than a Wednesday. We got to cover the State of the Union Address, of course. We're going to cover it live as it happens. So I have it up like so. All right. So I won't talk a whole lot during it. I'll just interject at certain times where I should interject. Right. So as soon as this pops up, this is on the White House YouTube page. As soon as that pops up, we'll be able to see it live. Hey, and I got a secret for y'all. I got a little secret. I have this browser extension on Chrome that reveals how many dislikes a video has, because that information is still available. They hid it for the normies and for your phone, but I can still see it. So this says 2,300 likes and 1,900 dislikes. So Biden does not appear to be very popular on either side of the political aisle right now. And we're going to see how the whole thing shakes out. He's going to read from a sheet of paper, of course, as is, pretty much par for the course. That's normal. But we're going to see what he actually says, if it makes any sense, like what's really going on with this guy. So we'll see this in just a few moments. As soon as that is prepared, as soon as he goes to the podium, I'll be right here streaming it with you. He's scheduled to come out 8:55 or 9 o'clock. So we got a few minutes before he comes out. But you never know. He might be a little bit late. He might come out later than scheduled. He might have to get woken up from his nap. He's probably in the cryo chamber getting unthawed, okay? And as soon as he's unthawed, as soon as they give him the drugs for the night, I think he'll be just fine and ready to read the sheet of paper. Now, we're going to see if he actually has, we'll see if he actually has anything that people really care about. What are some of the main issues we're talking about tonight, or what we should talk about tonight? The biggest elephant in the room is Ukraine, obviously. And the series of events that he did or did not do that led up to Ukraine, okay? Then you have inflation. Then you have midterm elections coming up. You have inflation in many different ways, not only just with your goods and services, but the main thing is the gas. The gas is ridiculous. And there are certain things we can do to solve this issue, right? If we had more domestic energy production, is he going to talk about that? Or is he going to talk about fantasy, the fantasy of the Green New Deal? Like, what is he going to actually talk about? And is he going to talk about anything that makes any sense? We'll see how it goes. Oh, yeah, I keep you guys awake for sure. What's that? Misael Brigante says, cocktail of drugs. Oh, yeah, it's going to be a whole lot of drugs going on with this guy to keep him awake. I was watching the news earlier today, and they were showing clips of him from this year he's been in office, and they had him speaking one way, and then the next clip, he was like it was a whole different voice. He went from, whispering old man, like the old man on Family Guy, to like Clint Eastwood. It's like, what's going on with this guy's voice? Like, how did he change? How did the voice change? Is it a clone? Did they dub his speech? What's going on? But we're going to see. We're going to see what's going on. So I want to see how he comes out, how he speaks, and what he speaks about. And I also want to see the rebuttal. And I'm not sure who's doing the rebuttal or what, but I got to see the rebuttal. And please, oh, please, oh, please, if you're going to do a rebuttal, drink some water. Why is it that every time I see the rebuttal, somebody is scrambling for some water? Like, what is really going on? Please be hydrated before you go out there on stage and give your rebuttal. Okay, remember Rubio a few years back when he was like scrambling? Oh, it was like, sir, maybe before you went out there to speak, you should have taken a little bit of swig of some water. I got my stuff right here, okay? I got coconut water, hint water, no ad, but I'm just saying, if I'm speaking for hours on end, live on the stream, I can't be parched. I can't be trying to grasp for some water. You understand? When your tongue is like stuck to your mouth, you're not going to be able to speak very well. You're going to be struggling scrambling and trying to get some air because you can't really, you can't really breathe too well. So yeah, please, please, oh please, the rebuttal guys, have your water on deck. Okay, we gotta have it. We need that. If you don't have it, then I can't do nothing for you. Oh, that hemp water is delicious. I want them to be my sponsor. They're not my sponsor. Like, I just, I'm a real person. If I like it, I like it, and I'll tell you I like it. But they're not gonna get too much more of that product placement if they don't come off the sponsorship. But nah, these right here, it's like flavor, but it's no chemicals in that. You don't have no aspartame or xanthan gum and all that kind of stuff. And it's not too sweet, but at the same time, it's not totally plain. This is the wave, 100%. Yeah, it's a plastic bottle, I understand, but hey, man, you only live once. Okay, I take a trip on the wild side every now and again. Yeah, I might have a water in a plastic bottle. Yeah, I might have a ginger cookie or something like that. I'll be okay, I promise. But we're going to see what Joe Biden talks about during this State of the Union address coming up here pretty soon. It's scheduled for 9 o'clock Eastern time, which is in about 3 minutes. And he may come out on time, he may not, but we'll see. We know how the administration goes. Sometimes they do whatever they want. He might come out tomorrow, who knows? But we'll see. We will see. Candy H says hemp water is bland. Well, you gotta if you like soda and stuff like that, really sweet drinks, it's gonna be bland to you for sure. But I don't really drink sweet drinks. To me, like, sugary drinks don't taste good. Okay, the sugary drink that I like out of anything is like a bubble tea, but even that's a little bit too sugary for me. I like subtle sweetness, not too much. All right, but we're waiting on Creepy Sleepy to come on out. We'll see. Wise Dove said Ginger Snaps on deck right now. Hey, that's a good little treat right there. The Ginger Snaps. Shout out to the Ginger Snaps. That's like something your granny would have, but they hit you right in the clutch, right in the best moment. All right. So it said they're gonna show a hologram. You know what? At this particular point in time, if they did something like that, I wouldn't be surprised. That wouldn't surprise me no more. In years past, that might surprise me. I'd be like, wow, that's pretty crazy. But now, that's just kind of like, that's kind of like whatever. Nothing surprises me anymore. I've become so jaded to the ways of the world, I suppose. So we're going to see what happens here, but I'm just getting ready for him. Sven says ABL will need 300 cups of coffee to stay awake during Sleepy Joe's speech. Hey, you know what? I'm up. I'm up and I'm stuck. You understand what I'm saying? I'm super awake. I'm high on life. All right. I didn't have my food. So I got a nice energizing meal, some nice grilled salmon, steamed broccoli, a nice serving of some basmati rice. I'm lit. I'm super lit. I'm awoke. I didn't put the awake and the woke term together. I'm not woke in that sense, but I am awake. I'm fully awake. All right. So yeah, I will be streaming it. Yes. I'm waiting on him to come out right now. This is a live stream. So as soon as Joe Biden comes out, we will get to it. But as of right now, we're just kind of waiting. So I'm just doing a little bit of talking, hanging out with you guys until they go ahead and start it. But as soon as he pops out from the cryo chamber, I will be showing that for you guys. So that'll probably be any moment now. He's scheduled to come out right now, which is 9 o'clock Eastern time. But again, he might come out whenever he wants to. He might be right on time, coming out in 2 seconds, or he might come out in a half hour. Who knows? Because the Biden administration, they do pretty much whatever they want to do, whenever they want to do it. And they always screw up. That is pretty much a hallmark for the Biden administration. So we're just waiting. Times are wasting. Will there be any whispering? That's a good question, the Fit Accountant. Yes, there will be some whispering. 1,000%. Okay. Lyle Peterson says, can Biden name one single victory in his first year? That's a very good question. He will try, but he can't. If he names a victory, he's going to be lying. So he may come out with a lie, but anybody could tell a lie. That doesn't mean anything just because you're able to say something that's not true. Thank you to Crypto Twins for your celebrating emoji. Was it like alien dancing in some buildings? Thank you for that. Michael Guest says, better enough we had Billy Beard during Carter administration. What's next? Biting bongs? Yeah, so Michael Guest also says they sobered up Pelosi for this. Man, if they got Nancy Pelosi sober, that's an amazing feat right there. That's probably the biggest feat of the Biden administration, getting Nancy Pelosi off the bum juice, getting her back, on track. That'd be something fantastic right there. You're talking about a hardcore. Like, is it just me, or is she always kind of off? Or is she just old and she's just behaving as an old person? I can't really call it, but y'all know better than I do. Right? Y'all know what's going on. All right. So we are waiting for Biden to come out. And as soon as he comes out, I will get straight to it. So we're just kind of in the holding pattern right here. It's Me says, how many times will he blame the previous administration for his incompetence? I think he's going to blame them indirectly, because I think at this point, the whole Trump card is getting worn out. So he may try to do it indirectly just to say that, oh, no, I didn't say Trump, although he will say Trump. Labrable says, not sure I really want to be watching this buffoon, only here for ABL. Well, thank you. Thank you for being here for me. Thank you for supporting me. I appreciate you. Couldn't do it without you. Thank you to Richard Milan, who says, keep up the great work, Mr. ABL. Thank you for that. I appreciate you. And Scarlett McQueen says, if you weren't streaming this, I would just wait for the blooper reel tomorrow. and I probably will do like a brief recap tomorrow for you guys who may not be able to watch the entire live stream, or if you just want to see the short one, I'll do it for that. But I got to give my live reaction too, because that's usually the best. When I could just see something and then react live, because this is just me and how I'm reacting, as I didn't have a chance to see it before. So now I'm just reacting in real time. And of course, if something happens, like if Joe Biden says, you know what, okay, I'm going to just lay on this ground right now and take a nap during the speech, I want to see that. I want to see some kind of like chaotic event. Nothing major, like he's going to get hurt. I'm just saying, I want to see Joe Biden just take a nap during the speech and start drooling on the sheet of paper that that his notes are written on. I want to see that happen. That'd be, a highlight moment for me. Angelic Storm says, under George Bush, Russia invaded Georgia. Under Barack Obama, Russia took Crimea. Under Biden, Russia invaded Ukraine. I stand as the only president in the 21st century under whom Russia did not invade another country. Donald Trump. There you go. Bam. I mean, no lies were spoken. The Anti-View says, hold on, let me go back here. Pardon me. Anti-View says, did Johnson & Johnson ever, we got some movement. But it says, did Johnson & Johnson ever resume production since pausing it 3 weeks ago? I've not heard about it. I have not heard about it. Okay, so we have some movement. I'm not sure who that is. It might be the sign language person. Oh, boy. The sign language person is going to be struggling tonight. Hopefully you're ready, Miss sign language person. And I didn't mean to assume your gender. I assume you're a young lady there. But you're going to have your work cut out for you. Okay, you're going to be a lot of pausing, a lot of trying to, get everything figured out. Is there a particular gesture in ASL for like ellipsis? When somebody's like not connecting the thought and it has like gibberish in there, it's like, how you do that in ASL? I'm not really sure. Well, we got movement going on. We're seeing photo ops. We're seeing Eric Swalwell and a lot of these guys. Let me get this over here so you guys can see it properly. Okay, so you got Eric Swalwell and a bunch of people. A lot of just random, just kind of meandering around, hanging out. Taking pictures, cell phones, typical stuff. Okay. Random noises. Oh, that's Pelosi banging the gavel.
President of the United States.
Hey, if the sound is weird as it's going, if it's too loud, if it's too low, y'all please let me know. I will adjust. Oh, they're clapping for what? A chant for Joe Biden? Really? Man, get him a walker already. You see him shuffling. Get him a walker, please. Is that HR McMaster right there in the front? That's what it looks like. Hey, if you notice one thing about the chambers, no masks. How convenient that the mask rule gets eliminated right now for this very big speech in front of the whole world. Funny how politics and social pressure kind of drive science, right? But I digress. There go Kamala. Oh, I got a short video for Kamala that you guys got to see. I'll put it out tomorrow morning.
Members of Congress, I have the high privilege and distinct honor of presenting to you the President of the United States.
All right, so let's go ahead and get it rolling. And whenever they're ready, I'm ready.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you all very much. Thank you, General. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all very, very much. Thank you. Please. Thank you so much. Madam Speaker, Madam Vice President, our First Lady and Second Gentleman, members of Congress and the Cabinet, Justice of the Supreme Court, my fellow Americans. Last year, COVID-19 kept us apart. This year, we're finally together again. Tonight, we meet as Democrats, Republicans, and Independents, but most importantly, as Americans, with the duty to one another, to America, to the American people, to the Constitution, and an unwavering resolve that freedom will always triumph over tyranny. Thank you. 6 days ago, Russia's Vladimir Putin sought to shake the very foundations of the free world, thinking he could make it bend to his menacing ways. But he badly miscalculated. He thought he could roll into Ukraine and the world would roll over. Instead, he met with a wall of strength he never anticipated or imagined. He met the Ukrainian people. From President Zelensky To every Ukrainian, their fearlessness, their courage, their determination literally inspires the world. Groups of citizens blocking tanks with their bodies, everyone from students to retirees to teachers, turned soldiers defending their homeland. And in this struggle, President Zelensky said in his speech to the European Parliament, "Light will win over darkness." The Ukrainian ambassador to the United States is here tonight, sitting with the First Lady. Let each of us, if you're able to stand and send an unmistakable signal to the world of Ukraine. Thank you.
That does nothing.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, they got Ukrainian flags. Wow, where are American flags at, though? That's crazy.
She's bright, she's strong, and she's resolved. Yes, we, the United States of America, stand with the Ukrainian people. Throughout our history, we've learned this lesson. When dictators do not pay a price for their aggression, they cause more chaos. They keep moving, and the cost, the threats to America and America to the world keeps rising. That's why the NATO alliance was created, to secure peace and stability in Europe after World War II. The United States is a member, along with 29 other nations. It matters. American diplomacy matters. American resolve matters. Putin's latest attack on Ukraine was premeditated and totally unprovoked. He rejected repeated efforts at diplomacy. He thought the West and NATO wouldn't respond. He thought he could divide us at home, in this chamber, in this nation. He thought he could divide us in Europe as well. But Putin was wrong. We are ready. We are united, and that's what we did. We stayed united. We prepared extensively and carefully. We spent months building coalitions of other freedom-loving nations in Europe and the Americas, from America to the Asian and African continents, to confront Putin. Like many of you, I spent countless hours unifying our European allies. We shared with the world in advance what we knew Putin was planning and precisely how we would try to falsify and justify his aggression. We countered Russia's lies with the truth. And now that he's acted, the free world is holding him accountable, along with 27 members of the European Union, including France, Germany, Italy, as well as countries like the United Kingdom, Canada, Japan, Korea, Australia, New Zealand, and many others. Even Switzerland are inflicting pain on Russia and supporting the people of Ukraine. Putin is now isolated from the world more than he has ever been. Together,
empty words.
Together, along with our allies, we are right now enforcing powerful economic sanctions. We're cutting off Russia's largest banks from the international financial system, preventing Russia's central bank from defending the Russian ruble, making Putin's $630 billion war fund worthless. We're choking Russia's access. We're choking Russia's access to technology that will sap its economic strength and weaken its military for years to come. Tonight, I say to the Russian oligarchs and the corrupt leaders who bilked billions of dollars off this violent regime, no more. The United States, I mean it. The United States Department of Justice is assembling a dedicated task force to go after the crimes of the Russian oligarchs. We're joining with European allies to find and seize their yachts, their luxury apartments, their private jets. We're coming for your ill-begotten gains. And tonight, I'm announcing that we will join our allies in closing off American airspace to all Russian flights, further isolating Russia and adding additional squeeze on their economy. He has no idea what's coming. The ruble has already lost 30% of its value. The Russian stock market has lost 40% of its value, and trading remains suspended. The Russian economy is reeling, and Putin alone is the one to blame. Together with our allies, we're providing support to the Ukrainians in their fight for freedom. Military assistance, economic assistance, humanitarian assistance. We're giving more than $1 billion of direct assistance to Ukraine, and will continue to aid the Ukrainian people as they defend their country and help ease their suffering.
For no reason, because ultimately it's not going to work anyway.
But let me be clear. Our forces are not engaged and will not engage in the conflict with Russian forces in Ukraine. Our forces are not going to Europe to fight Ukraine, but to defend our NATO allies in the event that Putin decides to keep moving west. For that purpose, we have mobilized American ground forces, air squadrons, ship deployments to protect NATO countries including Poland, Romania, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. And as I've made crystal clear, the United States and our allies will defend every inch of territory that is NATO territory with the full force of our collective power. Every single inch. And we're clear-eyed. The Ukrainians are fighting back with pure courage. But the next few days, weeks, and months will be hard on them. Putin has unleashed violence and chaos. But while he may make gains on the battlefield, he'll pay a continuing high price over the long run. And a pound of Ukrainian people, the proud, proud people, pound for pound, ready to fight with every inch of energy they have. They've known 30 years of independence, have repeatedly shown that they will not tolerate anyone who tries to take their country backwards. To all Americans, I'll be honest with you, as I always promised I would be. The Russian dictator invading a foreign country has cost around the world. And I'm taking robust action to make sure the pain of our sanctions is targeted at the Russian economy, and that we use every tool at our disposal to protect American businesses and consumers. Tonight, I can announce the United States has worked with 30 other countries to release 60 million barrels of oil from reserves around the world. America will lead that effort, releasing 30 million barrels of our own strategic petroleum reserve. And we stand ready to do more if necessary, united with our allies. These steps will help blunt gas prices here at home, but I know news about what's happening can seem alarming to all Americans. But I want you to know we're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. When the history of this era is written, Putin's war in Ukraine will have left Russia weaker and the rest of the world stronger. Well, while it shouldn't have taken something so terrible for people around the world to see what's at stake, now everyone sees it clearly. We see the unity among leaders of nations, a more unified Europe, a more unified West. We see unity among the people who are gathering in cities and large crowds around the world, even in Russia, to demonstrate their support for the people of Ukraine. In the battle between democracy and autocracies, democracies are rising to the moment, and the world is clearly choosing the side of peace and security. This is the real test, and it's going to take time. So let us continue to draw inspiration from the iron will of the Ukrainian people. To our fellow Ukrainian Americans who forged the deep bond that connects our two nations, we stand with you. We stand with you. Putin may circle Kyiv with tanks, but he'll never gain the hearts and souls of the Iranian people. He'll never extinguish their love of freedom, and he will never weaken the resolve of the free world.
You say Iranian or Ukrainian?
We meet tonight in an America that has lived through two of the hardest years this nation has ever faced. The pandemic has been punishing, and so many families are living paycheck to paycheck, struggling to keep up with the rising cost of food, gas, housing, and so much more. I understand, like many of you did. My dad had to leave his home in Scranton, Pennsylvania to find work. So like many of you, I grew up in a family when the price of food went up, it was felt throughout the family. It had an impact. That's when one of the first things I did as president was fight to pass the American Rescue Plan. Because people were hurting, we needed to act, and we did. Few pieces of legislation have done more at a critical moment in our history to lift us out of a crisis. It fueled our efforts to vaccinate the nation and combat COVID-19, delivered immediate economic relief to tens of millions of Americans. It helped put food on the table. Remember those long lines of cars waiting for hours just to get a box of food put in their trunk?
I don't remember that.
It cut the cost of health care insurance. And as my dad used to say, it gave the people just a little bit of breathing room. Unlike the $2 trillion tax cut passed in the previous administration that benefited the top 1% of Americans, the American Rescue Plan helped working people and left no one behind. Folks,
inflation?
And it worked. It worked. It worked. We created jobs, lots of jobs. In fact, our economy created over 6.5 million new jobs just last year. More jobs in 1 year than ever before in the history of the United States of America. The economy grew at a rate of 5.7 last year, the strongest growth rate in 40 years. And the first step in bringing fundamental change to our economy that hasn't worked for working people in this nation for too long. For the past 40 years, we were told that tax break for those at the top and benefits would trickle down and everyone would benefit. But that trickle-down theory led to a weaker economic growth, lower wages, bigger deficits, and a widening gap between the top and everyone else in nearly a century. Look, Vice President Harris and I ran for office, and I realize we have fundamental disagreements on this, but ran for office with a new economic vision for America. Invest in America, educate Americans, grow the workforce, build the economy from the bottom up and the middle out, not from the top down, because we know when the middle class grows, the poor have a way up and the wealthy do very well. America used to have the best roads, bridges, and airports on earth, and now our infrastructure is ranked 13th in the world. We won't be able to compete for the jobs of the 21st century if we don't fix it. That's why it was so important to pass the bipartisan infrastructure law. And I thank my Republican friends who joined to invest and rebuild America, the single biggest investment in history. It was a bipartisan effort, and I want to thank the members of both parties who worked to make it happen. We're done talking about infrastructure weeks. We're now talking about an infrastructure decade. And look, it's going to transform America, to put us on a path to win the economic competition of the 21st century that we face with the rest of the world, particularly China. I've told Xi Jinping it's never been a good bet to bet against the American people. We'll create good jobs for millions of Americans, modernizing roads, airports, ports, waterways, all across America. And we'll do it to withstand the devastating effects of climate change and promote environmental justice. We'll build a national network of 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations. Begin to replace the poisonous lead pipes so every child, every American has clean water to drink at home and at school. We're going to provide affordable, high-speed internet for every American.
Oh, yeah?
Rural, suburban, urban, and tribal communities. 4,000 projects have already been announced. Many of you have announced them in your districts. And tonight, I'm announcing that this year, we will start fixing over 65,000 miles of highway and 1,500 bridges in disrepair. And folks, when we use taxpayers' dollars to rebuild America, we're going to do it by buying America. Buy American products. Support American jobs.
Buy American, really?
The federal government spends about $600 billion a year to keep this country safe and secure. There's been a law on the books for almost a century to make sure taxpayers' dollars support American jobs and businesses. Every administration, Democrat and Republican, says they'll do it, but we're actually doing it. We'll buy America to make sure everything from the deck of an aircraft carrier to the steel on highway guardrails is made in America from beginning to end. All of it. All of it. But folks, to compete for the jobs of the future, we also need a level playing field with China and other competitors. That's why it's so important to pass the Bipartisan Innovation Act sitting in Congress that will make record investments in emerging technologies and American manufacturing. We used to invest almost 2% of our GDP in research and development. We don't now. China is. Let me give you one example why it's so important to pass. If you travel 20 miles east of Columbus, Ohio, you'll find 1,000 empty acres of land. It won't look like much, but if you stop and look closely, you'll see a field of dreams, the ground on which America's future will be built. That's where Intel, the American company that helped build Silicon Valley, is going to build a $20 billion semiconductor megasite. Up to 8 state-of-the-art factories in one place. 10,000 new jobs. And in those factories, the average job about $135,000 a year. Some of the most sophisticated manufacturing in the world to make computer chips the size of a fingertip that power the world in everyday lives. From smartphones, technology, the internet, technology is yet to be invented. But that's just the beginning. Intel CEO Pat Gelsinger, who is here tonight, I don't know where Pat is. Pat, there you go, Pat, stand up.
A field of dreams.
Pat came to see me and he told me they're ready to increase their investment from $20 billion to $100 billion. That would be the biggest investment in manufacturing in American history. And all they're waiting for is for you to pass this bill. So let's not wait any longer. Send it to my desk, I'll sign it, and we'll really take off in a big way. And folks, Intel is not alone. There's something happening in America. Just look around and you'll see an amazing story. The rebirth of pride that comes from stamping products made in America. The revitalization of American manufacturing. Companies are choosing to build new factories here when just a few years ago they would have gone overseas. That's what's happening. Ford is investing $11 billion in electric vehicles, creating 11,000 jobs across the country. GM is making the largest investment in its history. $7 billion to build electric vehicles, creating 4,000 jobs in Michigan. All told, 369,000 new manufacturing jobs were created in America last year alone. Folks, powered by people I've met like JoJo Burgess from generations of union steelworkers in Pittsburgh, who's here with us tonight. Where are you, JoJo? There you go. Thanks, buddy. As Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown says, it's time to bury the label Rust Belt. It's time to see the what used to be called the Rust Belt become the home of a significant resurgence of manufacturing. And with all the bright spots in our economy, record job growth, higher wages, too many families are struggling to keep up with their bills. Inflation is robbing them of gains they thought otherwise they would be able to feel. I get it. That's why my top priority is getting prices under control. Look, our economy roared back faster than almost anyone predicted. But the pandemic meant that businesses had a hard time hiring enough people because of the pandemic to keep up production in their factories. So you didn't have people making those beams that went into buildings because they were out. The factory was closed. The panic also disrupted the global supply chain. Factories close. When that happens, it takes longer to make goods and get them to the warehouses, to the stores, and prices go up. Look at cars last year. 1/3 of all the inflation was because of automobile sales. There weren't enough semiconductors to make all the cars that people wanted to buy. And guess what? Prices of automobiles went way up, especially used vehicles as well. And so we have a choice. One way to fight inflation is to drive down wages and make Americans poorer. I think I have a better idea to fight inflation. Lower your costs, not your wages.
Stop printing money. How about that?
Folks,
that's a solution. Stop printing money.
That means make more cars and semiconductors in America, more infrastructure and innovation in America, more goods moving faster and cheaper in America, more jobs where you can earn a good living in America. Instead of relying on foreign supply chains, let's make it in America. Look, economists Economists
Democrats, USA.
call this increasing the productive capacity of our economy. I call it building a better America. My plan to fight inflation will lower your costs and lower the deficit. 17 Nobel laureates in economics said my plan will ease long-term inflationary pressures. Top business leaders, and I believe most Americans support the plan. And here's the plan. First, cut the cost of prescription drugs. We pay more for the same drug produced by the same company in America than any other country in the world. Just look at insulin. 1 in 10 Americans has diabetes. In Virginia, I met a 13-year-old boy, the handsome young man standing up there, Joshua Davis. He and his dad both have type 1 diabetes, which means they need insulin every single day. Insulin costs about $10 a vial to make. That's what it costs the pharmaceutical company. But drug companies charge families like Joshua and his dad up to 30 times that amount. I spoke with Joshua's mom. Imagine what it's like to look at your child who needs insulin to stay healthy and have no idea how in God's name you're going to be able to pay for it. What it does to your family, but what it does to your dignity, your ability to look your child in the eye. be the parent you expect yourself to be. I really mean to think about that. That's what I think about. You know, yesterday, Joshua's here tonight, but yesterday was his birthday. Happy birthday, buddy, by the way. For Joshua and 200,000 other young people with type 1 diabetes, let's cap the cost of insulin at $35 a month.
We're doing price
so
control.
Everyone can afford it. And drug companies will do very, very well, their profit margin. While we're at it, I know we have great disagreements on this floor with this. Let's let Medicare negotiate the price of prescription drugs.
So you're trying to have
They
the government
already set the price for VA drugs. Look, the American Rescue Plan is helping millions of families with Affordable Care Act plans to save them $2,400 a year on their health premiums. Let's close the coverage gap and make these savings permanent. And second, let's cut energy costs for families, an average of $500 a year by combating climate change. Let's provide an investment tax credits to weatherize your home and your business, to be energy efficient and get a tax credit for it. Double America's clean energy production in solar, wind, and so much more. Lower the price of electric vehicles, saving another $80 a month that you're not going to have to pay at the pump. Folks, the third thing we can do to change the standard of living for hardworking folks is cut the cost of child care. Cut the cost of child care. Folks, if you live in a major city in America, you pay up to $14,000 a year for child care per child. I was a single dad for 5 years, raising 2 kids. I had a lot of help, though. I had a mom, a dad, a brother, and a sister that really helped. But middle class and working folks shouldn't have to pay more than 7% of their income to care for the young children. My plan would cut the cost of child care in half for most families and help parents, including millions of women who left the workforce during the pandemic because they couldn't afford child care, to be able to get back to work, generating economic growth. But my plan doesn't stop there. It also includes home and long-term care, more affordable housing, pre-K for 3- and 4-year-olds. All these will lower costs to families. And under my plan, nobody, let me say this again, nobody earning less than $400,000 a year will pay an additional penny in new taxes.
A lie.
Not a single penny.
A big lie. Big lie. Stop lying. I'm getting taxed to death. I'm getting taxed to death.
I may be wrong, but my guess is if we took a secret ballot in this floor, that we'd all agree that the present tax system ain't fair. We have to fix it. I'm not looking to punish anybody, but let's make corporations and wealthy Americans start paying their fair share.
See?
Look, last year, and like Chris Coons and Tom Carper and my distinguished Congresswoman, we come from the land of corporate America. There are more corporations incorporated in America than every other state in America combined. And I still won 36 years in a row. The point is, even they understand they should pay just a fair share. Last year, 55 of the Fortune 500 companies earned $40 billion in profit and paid zero in federal taxes. Now look, it's not fair. That's why I proposed a 15% minimum tax rate for corporations. And that's why in the G7 and other meetings overseas, I was able to be somewhat helpful. 130 countries agree on a global minimum tax rate.
Global?
So companies can't get out of paying their taxes at home by shipping jobs and factories overseas. It'll raise billions of dollars. That's why I propose closing loopholes for the very wealthy who pay a lower tax rate than a teacher and a firefighter. So that's my plan, but we'll go in more detail later. We will grow the economy, lower the cost of families. So what are we waiting for? Let's get this done. We all know we've got to make changes. Folks, and while you're at it, confirm my nominees for the Federal Reserve, which plays a critical role in fighting inflation. My plan will not only lower costs and give families a fair shot, it will lower the deficit. The previous administration not only ballooned the deficit with those tax cuts for the very wealthy and corporations, it undermined the watchdogs, the job of those to keep pandemic relief funds being wasted. Remember we had those debates about whether or not those watchdogs should be able to see every day how much money was being spent, where was it going to the right place? But in my administration, the watchdogs are back. And we're going to go after the criminals who stole billions of relief money meant for small business and millions of Americans. And tonight I'm announcing that the Justice Department will soon name a chief prosecutor for pandemic fraud. And look, I think we all agree, thank you. By the end of this year, the deficit will be down to less than half of what it was before I took office. The only president ever to cut the deficit by more than $1 trillion in a single year. Lowering your cost also meant demanding more competition. I'm a capitalist, but capitalism without competition is not capitalism. Capitalism without competition is exploitation. It drives up profits. And corporations have to compete. Their profits go up and your prices go up when they don't have to compete. Small businesses and family farmers and ranchers, I need not tell some of my Republican friends from those states. Guess what? You got 4 basic meat packing facilities.
Here we go with
That's
this
it.
big meat.
You play with them or you don't get to play at all. And you pay a hell of a lot more. A hell of a lot more because there's only 4. See what's happening with ocean carriers moving goods in and out of America. During the pandemic, about half a dozen or less foreign-owned companies raised prices by as much as 1,000% and made record profits. Tonight, I'm announcing a crackdown on those companies overcharging American businesses and consumers. And folks, and as Wall Street firms take over more nursing homes, quality in those homes has gone down and costs have gone up. That ends on my watch. Medicare is going to set higher standards for nursing homes and make sure your loved ones get the care they deserve and that they inspect and they will look at closely. We're also going to cut costs to keep the economy going strong and giving workers a fair shot, provide more training and apprenticeships, hire them based on skills, not just their degrees. Let's pass the Paycheck Fairness Act and paid leave. Raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour and extend the child tax credit so no one has to raise a family in poverty. Let's increase Pell Grants, increase our historic support for HBCUs, and invest in what Jill, our First Lady who teaches full-time, calls America's best-kept secret, community colleges. Look, let's pass the PRO Act. When a majority of workers want to form a union, they shouldn't be able to be stopped. When we invest in our workers and we build an economy from the bottom up and the middle out together, we can do something we haven't done in a long time. Build a better America. For more than 2 years, COVID has impacted every decision in our lives and the life of this nation. And I know you're tired, frustrated, and exhausted. That doesn't even count the close to 1 million people who sit at a dining room table
Lies.
or a kitchen table and look at an empty chair.
Lies.
Because they lost somebody. But I also know this. Because of the progress we've made, because of your resilience, and the tools that we have been provided by this Congress, tonight I can say we're moving forward safely back to more normal routines. We've reached a new moment in the fight against COVID-19, where severe cases are down to a level not seen since July of last year. Just a few days ago, the Center for Disease Control and Prevention issued a new mask guidelines. Under the new guidelines, most Americans and most of the country can now go mask-free. And based on projections, more of the country will reach a point across the next couple of weeks. And thanks to the progress we've made in the past year, COVID-19 no longer need control our lives. I know some are talking about living with COVID-19, but tonight I say that we never will just accept living with COVID-19. We'll continue to combat the virus as we do other diseases. And because this virus mutates and spreads, we have to stay on guard. And here are 4 common sense steps as we move forward safely, in my view.
Here we go, brass
First,
tacks.
Stay protected with vaccines and treatments. We know how incredibly effective vaccines are. If you're vaccinated and boosted, you have the highest degree of protection. We'll never give up on vaccinating more Americans. Now, I know parents with kids under 5 are eager to see their vaccines authorized for their children. Scientists are working hard to get that done. We'll be ready with plenty of vaccines if and when they do. We're all ready. We are also ready with antiviral treatments. If you get COVID-19, the Pfizer pill reduces your chances of ending up in the hospital by 90%. I've ordered more pills than anyone in the world has.
Ain't taking no pills.
Pfizer's working overtime to get us 1 million pills this month and more than double that next month. And now we're launching the Test to Treat initiative. So people can get tested at a pharmacy, and if they prove positive, receive the antiviral pills on the spot at no cost.
I don't want no pills. Like big pharma tricks. No pills, no shots, no thank you.
If you're immunocompromised or have some other vulnerability, we have treatments and free high-quality masks. We're leaving no one behind or ignoring anyone's needs as we move forward. On testing, we've made hundreds of millions of tests available, and you can order them for free to your doorstep. And we've already ordered free tests. If you already ordered free tests tonight, I'm announcing you can order another group of tests. Go to WH.gov starting next week, and you can get more tests. Second, we must prepare for new variants. Over the past, we've gotten much better at detecting new variants. If necessary, we'll be able to develop new vaccines within 100 days instead of maybe months or years. And if Congress provides the funds we need, we'll have new stockpiles of tests, masks, pills ready if needed.
Nah.
I can't promise a new variant won't come, but I can promise you we'll do everything within our power to be ready if it does. Third, we can end the shutdown of schools and businesses. We have the tools we need. It's time for America to get back to work and fill our great downtowns again with people. People working from home can feel safe and begin to return to their offices. We're doing that here in the federal government. The vast majority of federal workers will once again work in person. Our schools are open. Let's keep it that way. Our kids need to be in school. With 75% of adult Americans fully vaccinated and hospitalizations down by 77%, most Americans can remove their masks and stay in the classroom and move forward safely. We achieved this because we provided free vaccines, treatments, tests, and masks. Of course, continuing this costs money, so I'll not surprise you. I'll be back to see you all. And I'm going to soon send a request to Congress. The vast majority of Americans have used these tools and may want again. We may need them again, so I expect Congress, and I hope you'll pass that quickly. Fourth, we'll continue vaccinating the world. We've sent 475 million vaccine doses to 112 countries, more than any nation on earth. We won't stop because you can't build a wall high enough to keep out a vaccine. The vaccine can stop the spread of these diseases. You know, we've lost so much in COVID-19. Time with one another. The worst of all, the loss of life. Let's use this moment to reset. So stop looking at COVID as a partisan dividing line. See it for what it is, a god-awful disease. Let's stop seeing each other as enemies and start seeing each other for who we are, fellow Americans. Look.
That's on y'all, not me. That's on the Democrats, the lefties, the liberals.
We can't change how divided we've been. It was a long time in coming. But we can change how to move forward on COVID-19 and other issues that we must face together. I recently visited New York City Police Department days after the funerals of Officer Wilbur Mora and his partner, Officer Jason Rivera. They were responding to a 9/11 call when a man shot and killed them with a stolen gun. Officer Moore was 27 years old. Officer Rivera was 22 years old. Both Dominican Americans who grew up in the same streets that they later chose to patrol as police officers. I spoke with their families, and I told them that we were forever in debt for their sacrifices and will carry on their mission to restore the trust and safety of every community deserves. Like some of you that have been around for a while, I've worked with you on these issues for a long time. I know what works. Investigating crime prevention and community policing, cops who walk the beat, who know the neighborhood, and who can restore trust and safety. Let's not abandon our streets or choose between safety and equal justice. Let's come together and protect our communities, restore trust, and hold law enforcement accountable. That's why the Justice Department has required body cameras, banned chokeholds, and restricted no-knock warrants for its officers. That's why the American Rescue Plan that you all provided $350 billion that cities, states, and counties can use to hire more police, invest in more proven strategies.
Where's the money?
Proven strategies like community violence interruption, trusted messengers, breaking the cycle of violence and trauma, and giving young people some hope. We should all agree the answer is not to defund the police. It's to fund the police. Fund them.
Sir,
fund them.
Stop lying. The lies. The lies.
Fund them with resources and training. Resources and training they need to protect our communities. I ask Democrats and Republicans alike to pass my budget and keep our neighborhoods safe. And we'll do everything in my power to crack down on gun trafficking of ghost guns that you can buy online, assemble at home, no serial numbers, can't be traced. I ask Congress to pass proven measures to reduce gun violence. Pass universal background checks. Why should anyone on the terrorist list be able to purchase a weapon? Why? Why? And folks, ban assault weapons with high-capacity magazines that hold up to 100 rounds. You think the deer are wearing Kevlar vests? Look, repeal the liability shield that makes gun manufacturers the only industry in America that can't be sued. The only one. Imagine had we done that with the tobacco manufacturers. These laws don't infringe on the Second Amendment. They save lives. The most fundamental right in America is the right to vote and have it counted. And look, it's under assault. In state after state, new laws have been passed. Not only to suppress the vote, we've been there before, but to subvert the entire election. We can't let this happen. Tonight I call on the Senate to pass Pass the Freedom to Vote Act. Pass the John Lewis Act, Voting Rights Act. And while you're at it, pass the Disclose Act so Americans know who's funding our elections. Look, tonight, I'd like to honor someone who dedicated his life to serve this country. Justice Breyer, an Army veteran, constitutional scholar, retiring Justice of the United States Supreme Court. Justice Breyer, thank you for your service. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I mean it. Get up, stand, let them see you. Thank you. And we all know, no matter what your ideology, we all know one of the most serious constitutional responsibility a president has is nominating someone to serve on the United States Supreme Court. As I did 4 days ago, I've nominated the Circuit Court of Appeals, Ketanji Brown Jackson, one of our nation's top legal minds, who continue in Justice Breyer's legacy of excellence. A former top litigator in private practice, a former federal public defender, from a family of public school educators and police officers. She's a consensus builder. Since she's been nominated, she's received a broad range of support, including the Fraternal Order of Police and former judges supported by Democrats and Republicans. Folks, if we're to advance liberty and justice, we need to secure our border and fix the immigration system.
Stop it. The border?
And as you might guess, I think we can do both. At our border, we've installed new technology like cutting-edge scanners to better detect drug smuggling.
Wall?
We've set up joint patrols with Mexico and Guatemala to catch more human traffickers. We're putting in place dedicated immigration judges, a significant larger number, so families fleeing persecution and violence can have their cases heard faster, and those who don't legitimately hear can be sent back. We're screening, we're securing commitments, and supporting partners in South and Central America to host more refugees and secure their own borders. We can do all this while keeping lit the torch of liberty that has led a generation of immigrants to this land, my forebears and many of yours. Provide a pathway to citizenship for dreamers, those with temporary status, farm workers, essential workers. Revise our laws so businesses have workers they need and families don't wait decades to reunite. It's not only the right thing to do, it's economically smart thing to do. That's why the immigration reform is supported by everyone from labor unions to religious leaders to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Let's get it done once and for all. Folks, advancing liberty and justice also requires protecting the rights of women. The constitutional right affirmed by Roe v. Wade, standing precedent for half a century, is under attack as never before. If you want to go forward, not backwards, we must protect access to health care, preserve a woman's right to choose, and continue to advance maternal health care for all Americans. And folks, for our LGBTQ plus Americans, let's finally get the Bipartisan Equality Act to my desk. The onslaught of state laws targeting transgender Americans and their families, it's simply wrong.
What laws?
I said last year, especially to our younger transgender Americans, I'll always have your back as your president so you can be yourself and reach your God-given potential. Folks, as I've just demonstrated, while it often appears we do not agree, and that we do agree on a lot more things than we acknowledge. I signed 80 bipartisan bills into law last year, from preventing government shutdowns, to protecting Asian Americans from still too common hate crimes, to reforming military justice, and will soon be strengthening the Violence Against Women Act that I first wrote 3 decades ago. And it's important. It's important for us to show the nation we can come together and do big things. So tonight I'm offering a unity agenda for the nation. 4 big things we can do together, in my view. First, beat the opioid epidemic. There's so much we can do. Increase funding for prevention, treatment, harm reduction, and recovery. Get rid of outdated rules and stop doctors that stop doctors from prescribing treatments. Stop the flow of illicit drugs by working with state and local law enforcement to go after the traffickers.
Do it the wall.
And if you're suffering from addiction, you should know you're not alone. I believe in recovery, and I celebrate the 23 million Americans in recovery. Second, let's take on mental health, especially among our children whose lives and education have been turned upside down. The American Rescue Plan gave schools money to hire teachers and help students make up for lost learning. I urge every parent to make sure your school does just that. They have the money. We can all play a part. Sign up to be a tutor or a mentor. Children were also struggling before the pandemic: bullying, violence, trauma, and the harms of social media. As Frances Haugen, who is here tonight with us, has shown, we must hold social media platforms accountable for the national experiment they're conducting on our children for profit. Folks, thank you. Thank you for the courage you showed. It's time to strengthen privacy protections, ban targeted advertising to children, demand tech companies stop collecting personal data on our children, and let's get all Americans the mental health services they need. More people can turn for help and full parity between physical and mental health care if we treat it that way in our insurance. Look, the third piece of that agenda is support our veterans. Veterans are the backbone and the spine of this country. They're the best of us. I've always believed that we have a sacred obligation to equip those we send to war and care for those in their family when they come home. My administration is providing assistance in job training, housing, and now helping lower-income veterans get VA care debt-free. And our troops in Iraq and Afghanistan have faced many dangers, one being stationed at bases breathing in toxic smoke from burn pits. Many of you have been there. I've been in and out of Iraq and Afghanistan over 40 times. These burn pits that incinerate waste, the waste of war, medical and hazardous material, jet fuel, and so much more. And they come home, many of the world's fittest and best trained warriors in the world, never the same. Headaches, numbness, dizziness, a cancer that would put them in a flag-draped coffin. I know. One of those soldiers was my son, Major Bo Biden. I don't know for sure if the burn pit that he lived near, that his hooch was near, in Iraq and earlier than that in Kosovo, is the cause of his brain cancer, the disease of so many other troops. But I am committed to find out everything we can, committed to military families like Danielle Robinson from Ohio, the widow of Sergeant First Class Heath Robinson. He was born a soldier, Army National Guard, combat medic in Kosovo and Iraq, stationed near Baghdad, just yards from burn pits the size of football fields. Danielle is here with us tonight. They love going to Ohio State football games. And he loved building Legos with their daughter. But cancer from prolonged exposure to burn pits ravaged Heath's lungs and body. Danielle says Heath was a fighter to the very end. He didn't know how to stop fighting, and neither did she. Through her pain, she found purpose to demand that we do better. Tonight, Danielle, we are going to do better. The VA is pioneering new ways of linking toxic exposure to disease, already helping more veterans get benefits. And tonight, I'm announcing we're expanding eligibility to veterans suffering from 9 respiratory cancers. I'm also calling on Congress to pass a law to make sure veterans devastated by toxic exposure in Iraq and Afghanistan finally get the benefits and the comprehensive health care they deserve. And fourth and last, let's end cancer as we know it. This is personal. This is personal to me and to Jill and to Kamala and so many of you. So many of you have lost someone you love. Husband, wife, son, daughter, mom, dad. Cancer is the number 2 cause of death in America, second only to heart disease. Last month, I announced the plan to supercharge the cancer moonshot that President Obama asked me to lead 6 years ago. Our goal is to cut cancer death rates by at least 50% over the next 25 years, and I think we can do better than that. Turn cancers from death sentences into treatable diseases. More support for patients and their families. To get there, I call on Congress to fund what I call ARPA-H, Advanced Research
Money.
Projects Agency for Health, patterned after DARPA and the Defense Department, projects that led in DARPA to the internet, GPS, and so much more to make our forces more safer and be able to wage war with more clarity. ARPA will have a singular purpose: to drive breakthroughs in cancer, Alzheimer's and diabetes, and more. A unity agenda for the nation. We can do these things. It's within our power, and I don't see a partisan edge to any one of those 4 things. My fellow Americans, tonight, we've gathered in this sacred space, the citadel of democracy, in this Capitol. Generation after generation of Americans have debated great questions amid great strife and have done great things. We fought for freedom, expanded liberty, debated totalitarianism and terror. We built the strongest, freest, and most prosperous nation the world has ever known. Now is the hour, our moment of responsibility, our test of resolve and conscience, of history itself. It is in this moment that our character of this generation is formed. Our purpose is found. Our future is forged. Well, I know this nation. We'll meet the test, protect freedom and liberty, expand fairness and opportunity, and we will save democracy. As hard as those times have been, I'm more optimistic about America today than I've been my whole life, because I see the future that's within our grasp, because I know there's simply nothing beyond our capacity. We're the only nation on earth that has always turned every crisis we've faced into an opportunity. The only nation that can be defined by a single word: possibilities. So on this night, on our 245th year as a nation, I've come to report on the state of the nation, the State of the Union. And my report is this: the State of the Union is strong because you, the American people, are strong. We are stronger today. We are stronger today than we were a year ago.
I don't know about that one.
And we'll be stronger a year from now than we are today. This is our moment to meet and overcome the challenges of our time. And we will, as one people, one America, the United States of America. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you. Go get him.
Go get who? Putin? Trying to wage war on him? Okay, so that was the speech. I presume there's going to be a response from the GOP coming after this. I'm gonna try to find another stream to see if they do it. So y'all just hang tight for me here. This is a C-SPAN stream. You just shaking hands, kissing babies, all that kind of good stuff. Now I'm gonna keep it part right here just to see if the response comes up right here. If the response is somewhere else, y'all please let me know in the chat. I will be looking at the comments. But how do you guys feel about that? Was that a good State of the Union address? Did you guys enjoy that? It was a bunch of lies. It's the same old thing. You know, one thing I could say is that this has become a dog and pony show at this particular point. It's a dog and pony show. Okay, he'll go out there and say certain things that people want him to say, like the whole thing about, oh, we're going to cure cancer. He was put in charge of curing cancer under the Obama administration. Has he cured cancer yet? I don't think so. Can you cure cancer? Can you just declare we're going to cure cancer? No, of course not. That's not how it's going to work. You understand what I'm saying? So it's just kind of silly, ultimately, at the end of the day. You just say things that will sound good. Also, for the midterms, they want them to come across as more moderate, as more centrist. Oh, we're gonna tighten the border up. We're gonna shut the border down. We're not gonna have all the stuff coming across the border, which is bogus because building the wall was seen as racist. They were building the wall on the border. He stopped it. So if you want to secure the border, then why not resume the wall? It was already being built. You didn't. You could just left it alone, not touch it, and would have been just fine. But you stopped it. Not only did you stop building the wall, you sent troops from, not troops, the border agents. You sent border agents, maybe some troops from there over to Europe to help with the whole Ukraine thing. The first part of the State of the Union address was about Ukraine. Is it the State of the Union or the State of Ukraine? Because I can't really tell, right? I can't tell at all. Pretty underwhelming. Not very good at all. Not a very good talk. To some people that don't know any better, it'll be good. To a lot of Democrats, they may like it. But there were quite a few things he really should have. The inflation piece should have been focused on a lot more. He addressed it as sort of a byproduct, like a side point, but he didn't really get into it too deep. And that's the thing that most Americans really care about. Most Americans don't care about all this fugazi. Oh, we're going to cure cancer. Okay, cool, great, fine. Okay, but how about, my light bill has doubled in price. My gas doubled in price. Okay, the charging can I get a Tesla? I live in a cold environment. Is that going to hold up? Can I really afford it? I got this old car that I had for the past 15 years. I can't afford to get another one. Gas is too much. We need to focus on that. But he didn't really do it, talking about, we're going to spend more money to cure inflation, when the reality, the money that was spent is the reason why the inflation happened. Okay, printing and spending money is the reason why we have inflation. Too much of this monopoly money out here. So you got a high demand with low supply. The scamdemic played into it. And they want to try to roll the scandemic back, talking about, okay, we got masks, we got vax, we got pills. I ain't taking no pills. I don't know about y'all, but I ain't popping no pills and I ain't shooting no drugs on my body. Okay, pure blood, pure body. All right, that's just how I rock. I'm not even really with all the nonsense, okay? If you want to take pills, if you want to pop random pills in your mouth, then go ahead and go for it. But for me, I'm going to go ahead and pass on that one. I'm going to pass on that. I don't need no pills on my body. So, right now I'm waiting on the GOP response. Hopefully that comes up here pretty soon. All right. So the response is going to be from Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds. And as soon as that pops up, I'll let you guys know. Okay. And we'll just get to that here. So they will play the GOP response on C-SPAN. So I'm gonna keep a part right here. The sound is off on that one because he's just, little pleasantries and whatnot. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and just listen in a little bit. See if the sound is on. See if he's saying anything crazy. I can't really hear anything. It's just idle talk. Yeah, I don't really hear anything. You might be kind of like read his lips. But one thing I'm going to say, term limits. I mean, I'm seeing a bunch of walkers and canes and gray hairs. Is this like a senior citizens home or what? I mean, good grief. Can we get some people that are below the age of 75 in there? Like, what's going on? That's what I want. Signing autographs? You a dork. Is that Eric Swalwell getting an autograph? That's me right there. Like, sir, what are you doing? You getting an autograph from this guy? Like, I mean, for what? What you gonna do with the autograph? You gonna sell it on eBay or something? You need some money? You gotta, you can pay for some more Chinese girls. Let me relax. We got little kids watching, so I'll move on. Oh, I saw the purple hair, elderly lady. But for real though, term limits. I mean, good night. Good night. Like walkers and canes everywhere. You can't walk 2 feet without stepping over a cane. I mean, nothing against anybody that's elderly, but at a certain point, you gotta let the young people come in. Like even me at my age, I'm 37. I always say that I can't really necessarily relate to the young people. I'm not a young man anymore. I'm young compared to Joe Biden, but to nieces and nephews I got that's like teenagers, I'm old. You know what I'm saying? Because I could be their parent. The long story, there you go, Debbie Wasserman Schultz and a few more people. Long story less long, term limits. Because clearly we need it. Clearly, like a lot of what's going on right here with the politics, it's just a bunch of bloviating. That's my dad's word, bloviating. It's just politics as usual, same games, same players, same money motivators, same companies behind everything, Pfizer, Merck, all the Halliburton and all these people. It's the same old DC, same old swamp. We got to get beyond this. This is really what I see. And I think a lot of Americans are starting to understand what's going on. See, the political elite, they kind of do what they want to a certain extent. Yes. And for a while, for a very long time, they were able to do it. And it wasn't really a thing that Americans could complain about because we didn't really know. But now everyone can have access to people like myself and many others that are telling them what's going on in a way that's easy to understand, because these people make it very difficult to understand. You got to kind of dig through it to see what's going on, using all these little buzzwords and phrases, things that you might not really catch. They talk kind of like lawyers amongst themselves, and when they speak to you, they speak in a little bit of a lawyerly way. They omit certain things, they add in certain things. They'll tell you a straight up lie. So you need people to kind of translate what they're saying and make it make sense. Right. So right now I'm waiting on the GOP response. That'll be coming up here pretty soon. So y'all just hang tight for that. And this is going to be from, I think that's from Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds. She's going to give the GOP response. So Miss Reynolds, if you're watching this, please, oh, please, be hydrated. Get you some water, swig it on down, get that together. There goes that guy, Al Green. He's like a pro black, but that hair, I mean, you looking like Native American or something. I don't know what's going on. Okay. Whatever I try to do, my hair can never do that. Okay. My hair would never do nothing like that. You got this, natural kind of silk bob going on. That's crazy. You calling yourself a pro black. I don't see too many pro blacks with hair like that, but I'll move on. So yeah, what did you guys think about I'm reading some of the comments. What was your guys' reaction to the State of the Union address? Was it a good address? It's kind of a rhetorical question, honestly, obviously. But seriously, what did you guys think? Was it good? Was it bad? Was it just a bunch of lies, dog and pony show? What's happening? Y'all let me know as we wait for the GOP response coming up here pretty soon. All right. Hey, you got that Blackfoot? That's right. Yes, the guy Al Green with the hair, he is from Texas. You saw his tie. That was a Texas flag. Yep. And of course, he is a lefty. The whole mask thing, some people still want to wear the mask because they feel like they're protected, although they're not protected at all, but they feel like they are. And that's the reason why the mask mandate was even a thing. The mask mandate, in my opinion, was to ease people's nerves, to make them feel comfortable. It wasn't about health science. It was about psychological science. Okay, you feel good with that, even though they've repealed all the mask mandates for the most part. People still want to wear it. Why? Because they feel like they're safe in it. It's not making them safe, but they feel like it. So sometimes feelings are more important than reality. That's what's going on right here with some of these mask wearers still wearing their mask. That's all that there is to it. Okay. Let me see. I'm reading some of you guys' comments here. Oh, okay. I got super chats I can read right quick. I can read some of the super chats, but I probably can't go through all of them because we have the response coming up here pretty soon. And as soon as the response hits, I'm going to go straight to it. So I'm just ready to get rocking here. But thank you all for the supers. I can't actually read these because if I start reading them, I'm not going to be able to finish. Maybe if I have time after the GOP response, I'll read them. But as of right now, probably not. But thank you all for super chatting and sharing and everything else. I appreciate you guys. And again, if you're just now coming in, if you're just now peeking in, we're waiting for the response. So don't touch that dial. We still got a little bit of time here. We still got a little bit of time. The drug pricings are Daniel Best. Yeah, the drug pricing. I mean, my thing, they're talking about they want to lower the drug prices, but the reason why healthcare is expensive is the same reason why student loans are out of control. It's because of the government's involvement. That's why. Okay, when the government gets involved, you're pretty much writing these companies a blank check. They could charge whatever they want. College should not cost as much as it does, but the reason why it does is because the federales are involved. All right, they're guaranteeing the money. You see, if colleges had to rely upon financing from a person, or they had to go through a regular bank without the government's intervention, then they couldn't get as much money. You could not take out as an 18-year-old $75,000 for a year, $40,000 for a year. There's no other thing you could take out that much money for as an 18-year-old. Point blank, period. You couldn't have enough credit history. You could not have anything. Like, what kind of loan would you get at that age? How could you get a loan for that much at that age? They're allowing you to take that kind of money out because the federales are saying, oh, well, you should have access to an education. No person left behind. You should be able to get, and then once you graduate, you got a whole mortgage on your back with no house. I saw a person that had like $80,000 in student loan debt with no degree. I was like, yikes, $80,000 in debt. And they had paid it down to $80,000. It was higher than that. Almost 6 figures in student loan debt with no degree. That's a shame. A complete crying shame. But that's where we are right now. Didn't even finish. Dropped out and still got 6 figures in student loan debt. Crazy. Look at this guy right here trying to get his selfie. It's like, man, you trying to show your grandkids on WhatsApp. It's like, man, you need to just call it a day. I don't know what's happening here. It's kind of some odd body language. Let me see if I can turn the sound on. Yeah, I can't hear what's going on there. Again, we're waiting. We're waiting on the GOP response, and we're going to get there pretty soon. And it will be over here on C-SPAN where I'm at, so y'all just hang tight. We'll get there as soon as they get ready to rock and roll. We'll be ready to rock and roll right with them. So y'all just hang tight. No degree what? The person went to college, paid almost 6 figures, took out almost 6 figures in student loan debt and did not graduate. They didn't get a degree. I'm not sure what they were going to school for, but they didn't get a degree. Okay, imagine going to school, taking out that much money and have nothing to show for it. Like literally nothing to show for it. But the reason why these things are so high is because of government involvement. The reason why there's so much inflation, government involvement, drug prices, government involvement, college tuition, government involvement. We need to have less government. And all he did here tonight was propose more government. And that's the problem. So if anybody's thinking about voting for this guy, you guys are not going to vote for Creepy Sleepy. But if anyone out there is watching that is not really a conservative or whatever, what he's proposing is not going to help. Think about it this way. All that he did when he came in was government, 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 spin, spin, spin. And look at where it's gotten us. Look at where it's gotten us. It's not helped at all. All that we have here is a bunch of just debt that's rising through the roof, inflation rising through the roof. It's just not good, not at all. Where are the masks? Oh, you didn't see the memo? They just, meaning on Friday of last week, rescinded the mask mandate for the House. Okay, the timing is perfect. I was watching TV today. I was watching Fox today, and I think it was Jen Psaki being interviewed by one of the morning Fox News people, and the guy was like, "Hey, well, it seems kind of odd as you guys rescinded the mask mandate in the House or whatever yesterday, which was Monday, when the speech he's going to give is today on Tuesday." Well, she was like, "Well, actually, we didn't rescind it on Monday. It was on Friday." It's like, oh, okay, close enough. So you're going to rescind the mask mandate just a few days, like 2 business days before the State of the Union address, because of the optics. This is being seen by the whole world because of Ukraine, all that kind of stuff. The whole world is looking at us, and we're going to look silly still wearing masks, at least all of us. You got some guys like Al Green wearing masks, but we're going to look silly if we all are continuing to wear the mask, even right now when this pandemic is over with. So when you're talking about trusted science, believe the science, what science? Political science, science fiction, psychological science. It's not health science. It's not medical science. If it is, I can't tell. I cannot tell. All right, we're still waiting on the governor to come up. That's the Iowa governor, Kim Reynolds. And as soon as she comes up, it'll be right over there on the screen that you see right before you, and we'll get straight to it. And thank y'all for being here. I appreciate you guys. If you enjoyed what you heard tonight, at least from me, not from the big guy, and you know what I'm talking about, shout out to Hunter. But if you enjoyed my commentary, please give the video a thumbs up, like the video, share the video, do all that good stuff. That's a good point, Nicole McCauley. Nicole McCauley says minimum wage, $15 is more inflation. That is correct. That is correct. When you artificially raise wages like that, that creates inflation. Raising taxes on businesses also is inflationary, because the problem is these businesses are not going to pay that money. You see what I mean? They're not going to pay the money. Well, they will pay the money, but they're not going to pay it from their existing profits or from their existing capital. What they're going to do is raise the capital on our backs. So rather than them paying for it, like a Walmart, for example, if they were forced to pay more taxes, all that is to them is another expense. So the way they pay for their expenses is from their revenue. And to create more revenue, they're going to raise prices. This is very simple. This is how inflation operates, or at least one piece of it. Once the cost of doing business, hold on, let me see.
Let's check in with Greta Brawner one more time before Kim Reynolds speaks.
You mentioned this, Peter, that the speech was
okay, but anyway, I thought they were going to have the governor come on and talk. But once the cost of doing business rise, for whatever the reason, you're going to have costs of goods and services go up to compensate. That's just what it is. So whether that be supply chain shortage, whether that be government imposed artificial rules, regulations, or what have you, it's going to just make things go. So it's going to just add on to the things that are already causing inflation. It's like a snowball effect here. All right. So I'm reading some of this stuff here. You guys can see some of the things on the screen from the Twitters. And again, we're waiting on the governor of Iowa, Kim Reynolds, to give her a response. And then that'll be it. Okay, what else we got going on here? Yeah, the taxes are crazy. The taxes, like, even if Biden says, okay, we're not going to raise taxes, which is a lie. So we're not going to raise taxes on you if you make less than $400,000. That's a lie. But let's say they don't raise taxes on anyone making that much money, $400,000 or less. If you raise taxes on businesses, they're talking about a global tax, 15%. That's crazy. Anybody going to pay that? Like, you might have some random podunk country pay that, but China ain't going to pay that. Not really, because they can change their currency to whatever they want. But anyway, the inflation is the biggest problem. That's the long and short of that. And the taxes, if you raise taxes on businesses, all they're going to do is make us pay more to compensate. So that becomes a tax on us in itself. Inflation is a tax. If you have money saved and inflation ramps up more, your money, you lose money by inflation ramping up because the value of your dollar goes down. You know, one thing they were kind of bragging about during the State of the Union address was how the Russian currency is losing value. Well, the U.S. dollar is also losing value. If you can't buy as much with your dollar today than you did just last year, the value of the dollar has gone down. We could call it whatever we want. We could say inflation and, you know, prices are a little in flux. We could say whatever. Hold on, is she talking?
Condition of the state or head into an election and actually ask her to say a prayer for me before the big events.
Do you have any
And here is Governor Reynolds live.
I'm Kim Reynolds, governor of the great state of Iowa. Like you, I just watched the president's address. I listened as the governor of our state, as a mom and a grandmother of 11 who's worried our country is on the wrong track. We're now 1 year into his presidency, and instead of moving America forward, it feels like President Biden and his party have sent us back in time to the late 70s and early 80s, when runaway inflation was hammering families, a violent crime wave was crashing our cities, and the Soviet Army was trying to redraw the world map. Even before taking the oath of office, the president told us that he wanted to, quote, make America respected around the world again, and to unite us here at home. He's failed on both fronts. The disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal did more than cost American lives. It betrayed our allies and emboldened our enemies. North Korea is testing missiles again at an alarming rate. The Speaker of the House recently warned our Olympic athletes not to speak out against China. And now Russia has launched an unprovoked, full-scale military invasion of Ukraine, an attack on democracy, freedom, and the rule of law. Now all Americans must stand united in solidarity with the brave people of Ukraine as they courageously defend their country against Putin's tyranny as they fight for their freedom. But we shouldn't ignore what happened in the run-up to Putin's invasion, waiving sanctions on Russian pipelines while eliminating oil production here at home, focusing on political correctness rather than military readiness, reacting to world events instead of driving them. Weakness on the world stage has a cost, and the president's approach to foreign policy has consistently been too little, too late. It's time for America to once again project confidence. It's time to be decisive. It's time to lead. But we can't project strength abroad if we're weak at home. And that's what I want to discuss with you tonight. The President and Democrats in Congress have spent the last year either ignoring the issues facing Americans or making them worse. They were warned that spending trillions would lead to soaring inflation. They were told that their anti-energy policies would send gas prices to new heights, but they plowed ahead anyway, raising the price at the pump by 50% and pushing inflation to a 40-year high. 4 decades ago, when our nation was last reeling from inflation, I was a young working mom just starting out. My husband Kevin worked days while I watched our girls, and then we would literally switch. We would pass in the yard as he was coming home, and I was leaving to work evenings at the local grocery store. From across that checkout counter, I saw the pain of inflation on my neighbors' faces. I saw what happens when prices rise faster than wages. The Biden administration believes inflation is a, quote, high-class problem. I can tell you, it's an everybody problem. I saw moms and dads' paychecks buy them less and less. I watched working people choose which essentials to take home and which ones to leave behind. And now President Biden's decisions have a whole new generation feeling that same pain. When I took the oath of office 5 years ago, I promised Iowans that I would never lose sight of who I was working for, that I wouldn't become detached from the problems they were facing, from the problems that I had faced myself. But you don't have to check groceries to see what high inflation does to people. You just need to step outside of the DC bubble. Talk to Americans about what's on their mind. Ask them, what are your concerns? What keeps you up at night? And they'll tell you. And I can tell you what's not on that list. They won't tell you that spending trillions more and bankrupting their children is the answer to their problems. They won't tell you that we should be paying people not to work. And they certainly won't tell you that we should give billions in tax giveaways to millionaires and billionaires in Democrat-controlled states like California, New York, and New Jersey. But that's what the Biden administration has been pushing for over the last year. And that's all part of Build Back Better. Thankfully, the president's agenda didn't pass because even members of his own party said enough is enough. Well, the American people share that view. Enough is enough. And it's not just with DC spending. Americans are tired of a political class trying to remake this country into a place where an elite few tell everyone else what they can and cannot say, what they can and cannot believe. They're tired of people pretending the way to end racism is by categorizing everybody by their race. They're tired of politicians who tell parents they should sit down, be silent, and let government control their kids' education and future. Frankly, they are tired of the theater, where politicians do one thing when the cameras are rolling and another when they believe you can't see them, where governors and mayors enforce mandates but don't follow them, where elected leaders tell their citizens to stay home while they sneak off to Florida for sun and fun, where they demand that your child wear a mask, but they go maskless. So you've heard the excuses. They were just holding their breath, but it's the American people who are waiting to exhale, waiting for the insanity to stop. We now live in a country where violent crime is out of control. Liberal prosecutors are letting criminals off easy, and many prominent Democrats still want to defund the police. You know, it seems like everything is backwards. The Biden administration requires vaccines for Americans who want to go to work or protect this country, but not for migrants who illegally cross the border. The Department of Justice treats parents like domestic terrorists, but looters and shoplifters roam free. The American people are left to feel like they're the enemy. This is not the same country it was a year ago. The president tried to paint a different picture tonight, but his actions over the last 12 months don't match the rhetoric. It's not what he promised when he took office. But it doesn't have to be that way. There is an alternative. Across the nation, Republican governors and legislators are showing Americans what conservative leadership looks like, what it means to respect the people we serve, to hear them out, to stand up for them and walk alongside them. We know that our problems require bold action, but we also know that bold action doesn't have to mean government action. It's Americans making their own decisions for their own families and future. Republican governors face the same COVID-19 virus head-on. But we honored your freedoms and saw right away that lockdowns and school closures, they came with their own significant cost, that mandates weren't the answer. And we actually listened to the science, especially with kids in masks and kids in schools. What happened and is still happening to our children over the last 2 years is unconscionable. Learning loss, isolation, anxiety, depression. In so many states, our kids have been left behind, and so many will never catch up. That's why Iowa was the first state in the nation to require that schools open their doors. I was attacked by the left, I was attacked by the media, but it wasn't a hard choice. It was the right choice. And keeping schools open is only the start of the pro-parent, pro-family revolution that Republicans are leading in Iowa and states across this country. Republicans believe that parents matter. It was true before the pandemic, and it has never been more important to say out loud. Parents matter. They have a right to know and to have a say in what their kids are being taught. Families also have every right to live in a safe and a secure community, and that begins with a safe and secure country. But the Biden administration has refused to secure our border. They've refused to provide the resources to stop human trafficking, to stop the staggering influx of deadly drugs coming into our neighborhoods. They've refused to protect you. With Texas and Arizona leading the way, I, along with Republican governors from several states, have sent resources to the border. And we've actually gone to the border, something that our president and vice president have yet to do since taking office. On the economy, the contrast couldn't be more stark. While Democrats in D.C. are spending trillions, sending inflation soaring, Republican leaders around the country are balancing budgets and cutting taxes because we know that money spent on Main Street is better than money spent on bureaucracy. Today, I signed legislation that eliminates Iowa's tax on retirement income and sets our tax rate at 3.9%. That's less than half of what it was just 4 years ago. And it shouldn't come as a surprise that out of the top 20 states with the lowest unemployment rates, 17 have Republican governors. Republicans may not have the White House, but we're doing what we can to fill the leadership vacuum. And on the issues that are affecting Americans, Republicans are leading. We're standing up for parents and kids. We're standing up for life. We're keeping our communities safe and thanking those in uniform. We're fighting to restore America's energy independence, and that includes biofuels. We're getting people back to work, not paying them to stay home. Most of all, we're respecting your freedom. Behind me stands Iowa's Capitol, where we display our state motto, our liberties we prize and our rights we will maintain. And those aren't just empty words. It's a belief that the greatness of this state and this country lies in our people, not government. You shouldn't have to wake up every morning and worry about the next thing the government is going to do to you, your business, or your children. If we as elected leaders are doing our job, then the government is working well, but operating in the background. It's supporting the ingenuity and spirit of our people, not drowning them out. It's keeping them safe, not restricting their freedom. That's what I believe, that's what Republicans believe, and that's what Republicans are doing. I am so blessed to be the governor of Iowa, where people are humble, hardworking, and patriotic. We take care of each other. And yes, we are, as they say, Iowa nice. But you don't have to be from Iowa to see that those are the values of America at its best, all of America. Over the last few years, I've put my faith in Iowans, and they haven't let me down. I encourage this president to do the same, to put his faith in you, the American people, who have never wavered in your belief in this country, regardless of who leads it. Because you know, you've shown that the soul of America isn't about who lives in the White House. It's men and women like you in every corner of this nation who are willing to step up and take responsibility for your communities, for your neighbors, and ultimately for yourselves. By that most important measure at least, the state of our union is indeed strong. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
Okie dokie. Man, all right.
And that was Kim Reynolds.
That was Kim Reynolds, governor of Iowa. Look, okay. What she was saying was good, but I was bored to tears. You need to have somebody that's more engaging and can really... These responses, I don't know. Maybe it's the fact that you go from a lot of people being in the room and you can kind of interact to like... The content of what she said was good, but reading from a teleprompter, it's not a lot of energy there. I don't know. I think that could have been a lot better. Nothing against Ms. Reynolds, but I wasn't really feeling that too much. I like the content, but the delivery just wasn't really the wave. That's all that it was. And it wasn't really anything new. I don't know. I feel like maybe these responses shouldn't even happen. Not like the official response right afterward. Because I feel like people don't really watch it anyway. And I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe some people like politicians and they like the political answer. They like the kind of... I don't know that's the way that we should go. I think maybe they should do a different thing other than the response. And if you're going to have a response, there needs to be somebody that's more engaging and more exciting to do the response. That's all. Because you got to pay attention. You got to be engaged. You got to be in it. It can't just be kind of like, because I heard some of that, but a lot of it, I couldn't hear it because I wasn't engaged. If that makes sense. So that's all that is. Okay. So, I'm going to go ahead and close it out here. Thank you guys for being here. Hopefully you enjoyed at least my part of it and you were able to get something from it. I'll probably do like a brief recap tomorrow, like a 10 to 15 minute video. So this 2 hour or whatever stream can be condensed down to a little bit of time. So I think that'll pretty much be it. Thank you to everybody that super chatted. You guys can't take any more of the fakers. I'm out. But thank you all. I can't get through all the super chats because I don't really have a lot of time. I gotta get something to eat. I'm about to fall asleep right now, and I can't go to sleep right now at this moment. So yeah, okay. The response was cool, but let's have a more engaging person next time. Yes, I think that'd be good. And I got a hair in my eyes. I gotta go. So I think I'll go ahead and wrap it up here. Now is MTG giving the speech? See, man, y'all keeping me, y'all trying to keep me hostage. Hold on. Okay. Matter of fact, I have to go, actually. So if you guys want to see Marjorie Taylor Greene, you can go to Right Side Broadcasting. Matter of fact, go over there because I want them to have that. So I got to go. But I'll be back, of course, live again tomorrow. We'll talk more about this tomorrow. I may do a reaction to Marjorie Taylor Greene's speech tomorrow, but I'll definitely do a reaction to the State of the Union address, a condensed version of it, so you guys can have that. So see you guys tomorrow live at 8 p.m. Eastern, and I'll put out my pre-recorded videos tomorrow as well. The State of the Union address, recap, and then something else, whatever it is. So until next time, y'all be safe. I'm out, and peace.